Well, if there were any doubt that adding a full slate of Jayhawk Conference competition would bring added excitement to Reaver football, that doubt quickly erased on an exciting Saturday night in Council Bluffs, a top 5 showdown between the Reivers and the Grizzlies of Butler, entertaining a packed house at Titan Stadium. We've got all the highlights for you. Stick around. The Iowa Western Football Coaches Show is coming up next on the Reivers Sports Network and CBTV 17. Two weeks in, and for those Reaver fans that are faint of heart, they might be ready for a bye week. Hello, I'm Jake Ryan, along with the head football coach of the Iowa Western Reivers. It's Scott Strohmeier. Coach, what is game week like when you're preparing for the Butler Grizzlies? You've done it twice before, but with a little bit extended time. This time, you have 1 week to prepare. How was it?
Well, it's definitely more difficult, but I guess it's not bad. I mean, you can overthink some things in a month. But I felt we had a good plan on both sides of the ball. Staff did a nice job, and we knew it was going to be a battle, and it was. It ended up obviously finishing it in overtime.
Yeah, well, you're giving away secrets already. Let's take a look at those highlights and see how it all panned out on Saturday night at Titan Stadium. Iowa Western number 2 and the Butler Grizzlies number 5, and the Reivers in their all blues on Armed Forces Night. We got you that red tape in just in time, the red, white, and blue uniforms. It was a pretty good touch, and here we go from the get-go. And you guys started out a lot on the ground, and Lorenzo Pratt, Devon Pay getting a bulk of the carries. Tyus Mason in there as well, and you see Devon there on a carry outside, pretty good gain. And another one down here as you go with the strike down the field to Alex Reed.
This was a big drive, and we had to get outside a little bit on him, and we completed to Alex, and then Coach Pike dials up the quick pass that we wanted to get down the field to Taj. He did a nice job.
Yeah, Taj doing a great job. He went over 100 yards for the game when it was all said and done. And here's a little small one that added to that total. 4-yard touchdown pass gets you on the board, and that's a big one early on.
Yeah, it was. I think anytime you can get, we had an opportunity earlier. I think we kicked the field goal. I think that put us up 10-0.
So 10-0, and then it's Chris Carson, the Georgia commitment from Butler. He was a tough runner, and he got really good. He got really good going downhill at times in this game.
And that's what he does. He is a downhill guy, and defensively we played pretty well overall. He's going to get some yards.
Michael Gallup scoring the touchdown. He of the wideout. They did that play a lot where the wide receiver would run in front of the quarterback, DeMarcus Smith, and take the carry.
Yeah, and I think that's just a game plan deal of trying to get outside on us, not being able to run up the middle, and they did a good job.
McKinley Johnson with the reception there. Here's a catch by Julian Burris, late flag, and it seemed like the penalty flags kind of haunted you guys as the game went on.
They did. I mean, we had 13 again this week, good, bad, or calls, it doesn't matter. 13's too many, and we got to shore some things up.
Well, I said if you can contain the quarterback, Iowa Western would win by 10, and you can't. That one he gets away, Kelvin Rainey. And how about this one? Low snap, he heaves it down to the 2-yard line. What a catch on basically a Hail Mary. Yeah. And that sets up another score for the Grizzlies.
Those are the things. I mean, good teams, if they're making plays, but that one, it seemed like sometimes there was backyard ball out there, and they were converting on them.
Well, you see backyard ball again as he carries it to the outside and then into the end zone. It was a pretty tight game, 17-14 at that point, and then guess what? You start moving again, but this time by way of a Butler penalty.
Yeah, we were backed up, and we wanted to take a shot and just try to get the ball down the field. We're lucky to get a pass interference call. This is right before the half, or we're going down before the half with, a couple minutes to go.
Ronald Nash showing some of that 4.0 speed and cruises down the sideline, puts you in pretty good position right before the half.
Yeah, we're moving it. Really, I'm trying to get us in field goal range. We still have time, so we can throw the ball down the field and just keep moving the chains. But I think this one, it's the next one. We had maybe a chance there if we give ourselves a little bit more room on the sidelines and we put the ball in a better place.
Well, and I said it on the call, maybe going to the Taj Williams well too many times, and this one picked off by Antoine Hadley, the big cornerback for Butler.
Yeah, I mean, we had them there too, but when you're trying to throw over the top and drop it right behind a 6'4" corner, it's a little bit
Yeah, it's hard to
challenging.
drop anything behind a 6'4"
Yeah.
corner, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you go into the half leading by 3, 17-14, had a 10-0 lead, had a 17-6 lead, and you had to be feeling good about where you were at. What did you talk to them about at halftime, and what was the mood like at halftime?
Well, the mood was fine. I honestly felt offensively we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit if it was a penalty or a missed play here, and defensively, I mean, they got the one big one where it changed in field position on really the Hail Mary that got them down to the one that gave them a touchdown. So I felt we played pretty good. We just got to be assignment. They got another touchdown on a blown assignment. And they got the edge, so we're feeling pretty good. We just got to go and finish this thing off and help support one another.
I know it's fun for the fans to be able to sit back and watch a game like this. What's it like as a coaching staff? You've got to appreciate going into the half, still having to develop strategy and not figuring out what double numbers you're going to bring into the game as it continues on.
Well, it definitely keeps you into the game, and like I said, that's what you're in the business for. That's what the kids play for. You don't those 63-0 ball games aren't always. Try keeping your kids pumped up to go and play, but it's good. It keeps us in tune with what we're trying to do, and it puts a little bit more pressure on us during the game week of preparation to have a plan and be able to make some adjustments.
Well, number 2 and number 5 giving the fans their money's worth at the break. The second half would provide more value and even more second half highlights coming up on the Coach Stroh Show. The Iowa Western Football Coaches Show continues next here on CBTV 17.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
From the studios of CBTV 17 on the campus of Iowa Western here in Council Bluffs, Iowa, you've got the Coach Stroh Show. Jake Ryan and the head football coach of Iowa Western. It's head coach Scott Strohmeier. The second-ranked Reivers up at halftime on fifth-ranked Butler, but it was a tenuous lead at best. Coach, what was the mood like at the half when you guys were coming back out? You had that halftime talk, and then you come out for the second half. What were the guys thinking?
Well, I mean, I felt they felt pretty good. It was just more so of just us going out there executing and playing assignment football.
All right, let's see how you executed here in the second half. A look at those second half highlights. Chris Carson will start things off, gets the run, but not for very many yards. In fact, -3 on the play. Ford Howell coming out very pumped up. Kelvin Rainey on the assist. And then, they had field goal kicking issues all day. How about this one? Clanging off the top of the right upright. And he couldn't do that again if he tried.
No, well, it's a good, like I said, defensively, I wanted to play with a little bit more emotion, and then they did there with Ford and Mike here and Mike Edwards.
Yeah, Mike Edwards loses his helmet on that play, and another loss. This time, Justin Van Houten getting into the backfield. Darius Commission there to congratulate him, and Mike Edwards also in on the tackle. And the Reivers defense was holding up there into the bargain. It was the offense that struggled a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, and really that's, our defense is pretty good, and they got a pretty good one as well. A lot of quality players that you'll see playing big-time football.
Certainly do, and it was a game of second half mistakes early on. Here's a fumbled punt from Connor Thomas by Julian Burris. Reivers scoop it up, and you've got an opportunity to score quickly.
Well, the big thing going in, their special teams is generally really strong point. We had a blocked punt. They missed a couple extra points. We get them on a fumble on the punt return.
And we should mention that their kicker was their backup kicker because the starter has had a hamstring issue. In fact, he didn't play last week either in their opener.
And right there with Dan Hamilton, that's why we take an out-of-state kicker if we have to, one of your 20 spots, and he was solid again this week.
Marquell Wade with the kickoff return, and man, that guy could zig and zag, and he took it all sorts of different directions. And the Reivers, again, burying Butler deep in their own territory. And how about this one? Another big play, fumbled snap, and they snapped low almost all game. Did they have a backup at the center spot,
Yeah,
too?
they did. Their starting center went out earlier, and so they had some issues there.
And here is Anthony Anderson, the Minnesota Mammoth, punching it in from 1 yard. His only carry of the game, and it's put 6 on the board for the Reivers. You go up 27-14, and a lot of fans started to leave at this point.
Well, I wish I could have said that they could have left, but you got a quarterback like that who's athletic and some athletic guys. I mean, you're always. I knew this game wasn't going to be just a runaway.
Well, Julian Burris there with the long reception. Here's the handoff to Chris Carson as the Grizzlies just kept getting it going. And you knew with the trouble they were having kicking that down 16 after you added another field goal, they were going to be going for 2. Here's another one to Michael Gallup, and the Reivers wrap him up, but they just had a lot of second chance yards off of that first contact.
They did, and that was a 4th down play there. They went for it, I think. And again, they're going to keep fighting. They're a good team. They're well coached, and the kids were ready. So
quick pass across the middle to Alex Reed as you were up at this point 27-22. Here's that Danny Hamilton kick. That puts the 3 points on the board. So you're back up by 8, and that's a pretty good feeling because you knew they could only tie the game if they were going to score late. Here's a miscue by DeMarcus Smith as Jamie Thompson gets his first interception of the season.
Yeah, we scored. We took 8 minutes off. We only got a field goal, but then we get a big play here by Jamie, who got the player of the week in the conference defensively.
Yeah,
and
and
this happened.
unfortunately, here's a pass that was backwards, so it is a backward lateral, and it goes off the hip of Ronald Nash. The fumble goes to Butler, and that sets him up for the tying score.
Just giving them chances. You give them opportunities.
DeMarcus Smith looked like he may have been down on that play. Keeps the run going. No whistles called, and he's going to scoot all the way into the end zone as he dives in for what would be close to tying the score, 30-28. And then the pass to the big H-back, Derek Lee, making the catch on that one. That'll tie it up at 30, and then nearly blowing it again. And it was a very close play. You guys keep the ball.
Again, just giving them opportunities. Credit our defense. Giving them opportunities to win the game. And so our kids kept fighting, which was positive. But we can't give them all those.
Well, here's the interception by Anthony Thompson, and Anthony with his second interception of the day off of DeMarcus Smith. So you get the ball back, and it was pretty. Everybody was on the edge of their seat, and here's the coin flip in overtime. What'd you call?
He called, I think, heads and lost it, so we're on D first.
And DeMarcus Smith, and we saw a touchdown on this one again.
My heart was racing.
I bet it was. Still on his feet and spins out of another one. So elusive down the sideline and finally pushed out of bounds. Well, he went out of bounds. And then the handoff to Chris Carson on, I believe this was 3rd down.
Yep.
And then they set up for the field goal. And again, a low snap. And Bakari Triggs, who plays on their basketball team, flung down. He converted that on another time.
Yeah.
And this time it is stopped. A huge tackle by Marquez Coates. And then, well, handoff to Tyus Mason. Let's call it good.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got that stop, and we got a pretty good kicker. I feel going in overtime. We get the stop, and we're just putting ourselves in position. And just huge, great final drive. We converted. Tay ran a couple and got a big first down on a 3rd down, and ended up sneaking one through for the win.
Well, it's easy to say now, but what a heck of a game. What a good game it was because we came out on top. I think even if the Reivers had come out not on top, it still would have been an unbelievable ball game. Just an absolute great effort by Butler, not going away, and the Reivers obviously sticking to it and finally taking that win in overtime.
Well, it was. I mean, 2 really good teams, and I even said it would have been heartbreaking, if we lost that game, all the opportunities that we gave them. But at the same time, like I said, 2 really good teams going at it. You hate to see one lose. I'm glad we were on the winning end for sure. But it was a good game to even be a part of coaching.
Well, here's the good news. In this week's polls, Butler only dropping to number 9, so they're still a top 10 team, and you would expect them to be at or near the top when when the end of the season comes to be, and hopefully the Reivers are right there as well. Well, what a day. First overtime played by Reiver football on the first scheduled home night game, and of course the first ever game at Titan Stadium between top 5 teams. Let's look at those stats real quick, and we'll see what we can pick out of there. A good day by Tay. Solid day, at least it appeared, on the rushing game. You didn't get many yards, but when you did get the opportunities, you guys capitalized, a couple rushing touchdowns. Overall, the kicking game, Dan Hamilton, again, you mentioned him in the highlights. What a game by him, because without those 3 field goals, you're looking at a loss, and he by far puts you over the top.
Well, the thing is it changes your play calls, before that, and when we're in a position where it may be 3rd and 12, we may only got to try for 6. Maybe we're in position for a field goal. Not that you're not trying to get a first down, but it does change your call if you got a kicker or you don't have a kicker. And, so we feel really good within the last 2 years is that, hey, we can get points, and he's been pretty consistent, and we expect him to keep that way. And when you can get 3 points, like the first drive, it's disappointing we didn't score a touchdown when we got the turnover on that block punt, but you come out with 3, that's not bad. We answered a drive, took 8 minutes, we only got 3, but it put us up 8.
Well, your kicker, the difference in the game, and their kicker may have cost them the game. But here's the good news. Reivers win, 23 first downs apiece for both teams. You look at the turnovers, basically even. What a fantastic ball game. And that's why that this 2-year agreement it was scheduled. More quality competition. And you've said it before, you want to be the best, got to beat the best, and what a thrilling game it was. When we come back, IWTV student and RSN crew member Travis Jacobson talks with the man that scored the winning touchdown. We'll have more Stroh Show right after this on the Reivers Sports Network and CBTV 17.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always. Lock it up.
The Coach Stroh Show continues here on CBTV 17. I'm IWTV student Travis Jacobson, joined by Tyus Mason. Welcome to the show, Tyus.
Thanks for having me.
And what a way to start the season. You get number 5 Butler rolling into town in the Titan Stadium's first ever top 5 matchup, and you get the game-winning touchdown. How does that feel to have a game winner in such a big game?
I mean, it was a great feeling just to be able to play with the team and be able to be out there in that sort of situation. And then on top of it, scoring the winning touchdown, I mean, there's no other better feeling than that.
Now, what was going through your mind when they called your number on that last play? Was anything going through your mind at all, or was it just focus?
I mean, actually, I said to myself 6 yards because we were on the 6-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was just trying to get into the end zone because I think it was 3rd down. So I was just 6 yards. I just had to get that 6 yards.
Now, Butler being a powerhouse team rolling into town, what kind of preparation did you do along with the other running backs to prepare for this game?
Mostly just preparing. They throw a lot of different defenses at you, a lot of just crazy different sort of fronts and everything. So it was just preparing for that sort of situations.
Now, this season's been kind of running back by committee with you, Lorenzo Pratt, Devon Pay, and Anthony Anderson. Do you guys push each other through practice, and do you guys feed off of each other as well?
Oh yeah, it's always a battle in practice and everything, just to compete and just to see who, not necessarily that starting spot, but to just help each other get better. And then like game situations, when we're in the game, we come out and we talk and we make sure to tell the other running backs what's going on in the game and everything so they know when they get in.
Now, coming out of Valley High School in West Des Moines, your senior year, 2,100 yards rushing, including a game where you rushed for 472 yards and 5 touchdowns. Talk about that game. How does it feel to have a game like that?
I mean, that was high school football. It's in my past now, but it was a great feeling. Rushing for that many yards and everything, it was just, I don't know, it was a crazy game. And playing against that undefeated team, Ames High, it was just going in there ready to go and just coming out on top like we did.
Now, a season where you top 2,000 yards, does that experience help you or help translate your game to the college level at all? Or is it just such a different game in the college level that you just kind of start over from scratch?
The college game's a lot faster than high school, obviously. I mean, you got the top competition out there playing against each other, and just got to run fast, I guess.
Yeah. Now, you grew up in West Des Moines, Iowa. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose Iowa Western?
Well, just because of mostly the opportunities that they give us. The football team, the success they've had and everything. It was just the success that Iowa Western has had, and then creating the opportunities onto the next level, getting to places where you want to go.
Now, you've got the Scotties of Highland. going over to their place this week. What kind of preparation are you doing in practice to prepare for them?
Their defense seems to do a lot of blitzing also, similar to Butler. So we're just preparing mostly for different fronts, I guess, and making sure we cover all those guys and give a quarterback enough time to throw the ball.
Is there anybody on their defense that stands out to you that you should maybe focus a little bit more on in terms of blocking?
With as much film as I've watched so far, there's not necessarily anyone that necessarily stands out to me. It's just, I mean, being prepared, getting ready for the next team, and ready to face them.
All right, well, Tyus, thank you very much for joining us on the Coach Stroh Show. Congrats on a great game against Butler, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Jake Ryan and the coach are back to talk about this week's first road game on the season. We'll be right back.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
We're back to wrap things up here on the Coach Stroh Show on CBTV Channel 17. Well, Coach, you know that next year this schedule completely flip-flops around, which means you'll be on the road for 4 out of the first 5 instead of at home for 4 out of the first 5. So you've got to enjoy it, but you hit the road for the first time this week. It is the shortest road trip that you could take out of any of the teams that you've got scheduled this year. So it won't be, hopefully there'll be a lot of Reaver fans there. Tell us what you know about the Scotties of Highland.
Well, I mean, we just have 2 games. One of them's against a JV team. Doesn't really do us much good. But I think in the Kansas League, I mean, they got good players, out-of-state players, and you know, I think our focus this week, which I stress to the team, is we got to get better. I mean, that's all we got to worry about. I'm not so concerned about what Highland's going to do to us, but we have to get better. And if we get better, then there'll be good results on Saturday afternoon, and that's really the focus this week.
How much are the penalties concerning you right now? You've been up there in the Coffeyville game and now the Butler game as well. What do you? I know you talk about disciplined football, and you've got some guys that are disciplined out there. But what do you do about the penalties?
Well, the ones that, you know, some of them are effort penalties, and not, you know, we got a pass interference. That's just a new rule roughing the quarterback. That's a new rule that came into play, and we just got to continue to stress it to them. It's the lack of discipline ones that, you know, if you're jumping off sides or false starts and things like that, personal fouls of you know, a one-on-one battle. Those are the ones we don't want. We haven't had a lot of those. I mean, you got a pass interference, you got a hit out of bounds. We had one on this, you know, a guy on the sidelines. The ref ran into him on the sidelines, got him 15 yards. You know, those are the ones that will drive me crazy.
And that's a point of emphasis this year as well, isn't it? The sidelines.
Keeping the white area clean on the sidelines. And but, you know, there's going to be face masks in football. There's going to be, you know, roughing the passers, you know, in things like that. But some of them were effort penalties. And, you know, we got to clean them up for sure. But at the same time, there's not a lot I'm concerned about. I think now of the 13, you know, there's a few of them that maybe were questionable as well. It's hard to get on your guys. But at the same time, I want them to understand that we have to clean up some play and pay a little bit more attention to detail in some of the things that we do.
All right, well, you head to Highland this week, and then the following week it's homecoming. You get Dodge City into town. That won't be an easy one. And then finally an ICCAC opponent in Ellsworth at the end of the month. So you look at that entire schedule, and I know that the familiarity will come with time, but right now you're facing a brand new opponent every week. What's that like for the coaching staff?
Well, it's actually kind of fun, you know, I mean, because we can go into our opponents that we played for years and we kind of have a pretty good idea what they're going to do. What we've done in the past has been successful, not. We're now, I mean, we had limited film on Coffeyville, so which was tough. We expected what we got from Butler just because we played them the last 2 years. Don't have a lot, new head coach at Highland, you know, this year, and only really one game to go off of. So, you know, it's kind of a cat and mouse game. You know, we got to go in with what we expect. Now it's helping our players because they're not always giving us the looks we thought, and now it makes them make some adjustments on the field as well.
All right, and I've seen that a couple of the early season verbal commitments are starting to be made as well. So you got a guy that's not even on the active roster right now, one of your very talented receivers that's banged up. I saw University of Louisville on that one. That's going to start heating up here in the next couple of weeks as well, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's when schools start having bye weeks, that brings a whole nother phase to what we do day to day, and just answering calls and getting film out to those guys. But it's a good sign when they're coming through or already offering our guys, and guys are committing for sure.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time
Thank
again.
you.
That wraps up this week's edition of the Coach Stroh Show. Saturday's broadcast on 89.7 The River and 89.7theriver.com begins at high noon with the pregame at noon and the kickoff at 1 o'clock from Highland, Kansas. Of course, you can see the game online at ihigh.com/IWCC. A reminder that next Thursday night, as part of our homecoming festivities, it will be our very first homecoming parade. The inaugural parade will start at 7 o'clock and stretch the 100 block in Council Bluffs. The finale of the night, of course, will be the annual homecoming pep rally, which will be in the parking lot of the Broadway United Methodist Church at the end of the route. So bring the family, bring the friends, and come be a part of what we hope is the start of an annual tradition. That's next Thursday night, the homecoming parade. Also at the end of the show today, make sure you watch for the highlights shot by Iowa Western's Brian McCarthy from his drone. That's right, he's invested his own money into some very sky-high pictures and gives Coach Strohmeier a different look during practice and some other things that he's been able to utilize out of it. So make sure you check out the highlights at the end of today's show. Thanks again to everyone involved in today's program, Coach Strohmeier, and of course freshman running back Tyus Mason, our great IWTV crew, and of course putting the set and show together as they've always done. And as always to you for tuning in to CBTV Channel 17. I'm Jake Ryan, signing off until next week. We'll talk with you Saturday. Wear blue, be loud, and go Reivers.
That's the Iron Man right there. Picked up and they touch it. The Reivers have got it. Underway for the Grizzlies. Low snap again. Ball on the left ground. That's how he has it. Reivers! Touchdown! Will look back to pass. Looks down at the 24. Was his knee not down? He's still in the air. And the Reivers are going to watch him skate inside the 15. Now inside the 10. Smith still on his feet. He's going to score.